It's time once again for me to answer every single one of the questions you guys left on the community. I feel like I'm off center. There we go. Look at what a great wide angle this is. Remember how I used to crop the video? Now it's just a wide angle. You can see everything here in the room. Before I get on to your questions, a couple bits of business. Number one, this video is sponsored by me over at mfshophere.com. Back in the day, I used to do comic books, and I got a couple of my comic books there. I did not do The Walking Dead, but I did draw this sketch cover right here. I got a couple sketch covers over there as well, and a brand new print. It's the Batman Who Laughs. I've got a print for this, so if you want to get your hands on some wall art, you can. I actually have some original art over there as well for you art collectors. It is a bit on the pricier side, but it's like original art. What do you want from me? Anyways, before I get started, also, I want to point this out. I had a comment, bizarrely, over at the Going In Raw Hot Takes thread, in which somebody said, it feels like a chore when you answer everybody's question. Why not pick out a few that you like and answer them more in depth? And my answer to that, as always, is number one, even if you think it feels like a chore to me, it's not. But I am aware that I can't sit here all day and answer every question in depth. So I do try to speed run a lot of these questions. But number two, I like the idea of people being able to have their question answered kind of no matter what, as long as they get their question in a certain time frame. One of the things that YouTube tells you to do is to engage with your audience. Obviously, I can't necessarily do that every single video, although a lot of WrestleJuice is engagement with you guys, whether it's hot takes or whatever. And I try to answer as many comments as I can. But yeah, the format's going to stay. It's going to stick around. I like doing it this way. I think it's fun. Trying to come up with a new way to do the thumbnail and title every week is also kind of fun. But yeah, everybody gets everybody gets a participation trophy here. Everybody gets that. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this. First up, we've got diabetic. Also, I'm not opposed to constructive criticism. Totally fine with that. I'm not mad at anybody saying, oh, you should change the format. That's great constructive criticism. I'm just explaining why that's probably not going to happen. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive into it. Diabetic Man says, what's a wrestling trope you never get sick of seeing? It's the ref throwing people out. Doing that shit. I love when a ref throws anybody out, to be honest with you, whether it's a wrestling match or a basketball game. Jalen says, would you rather be in the corporation or the authority? The corporation eventually became the corporate ministry. Much bigger organization than the authority. And I feel like that gives me a better option for blending in while continuing to get a paycheck. So probably the corporation, the authority, smaller, much bigger spotlight on me. Also, they already have some clowns there with J&J Security. So I feel like I would be redundant. X Blake, what are your thoughts on the latest PWI top 10's women's list? So Larson and I actually are doing a reaction video that it's already filmed. I just have to edit the thing. And it'll be going up this weekend. So you'll get more of a meteor take on my reactions. But by and large, it seems fine. I know there's a deal with Becky Lynch not being on the list. And I think it has to do with their strict criteria in terms of how long you've been around in the window of time. But but besides that, Becky Lynch, but she'll be on the thing next year. She'll probably be really high next year. So I thought it was fine. I think Athena on the list? Yeah, Athena was on the list. So, it's silly pro wrestling stuff. They take, it's all kayfabe, if you will. Yami says, would you ever inject yourself into the Marvel universe if you could write a story? Maybe a multiverse team up with Steve here, Steve there, Steve where, Steve anywhere as the Juice Vengers. Well, if that happens, I'm going to steal that idea because I like that one. V-Master, but that's a very Grant Morrison thing to do. Maybe I would. I'd consider that. V-Master says, favorite protagonist / hero versus arch nemesis rivalry in fiction. An example would be Batman versus Joker. Oh, okay. So this isn't even wrestling. This is just whatever. All right. Off the top of my head, obviously, Picard and Q. That's a big one for me. Kirk and Khan, obviously Wrath of Khan. That's a big one for me. Obviously, I'm just going here with Star Trek because that's my jam. Yeah, I'd go. I'd say that. Blind Cinephile says, "Will we ever get our unique Titantrons back and not just floating names?" No, unless Triple H is Dunzo and whoever replaces him. Like I could maybe see if CM Punk took over. Maybe he's got a soft spot for the Trons. Maybe. Burrito Barra says, "We saw Batman use the one-winged angel. What other comic book character should steal a move, and what move would it be? Why is it Superman with the finger poke of doom?" Okay, but that's the thing about Superman. You think he would take the finger poke of doom or he would dole it out? Like his one single finger is actually, that's a good one. I actually really like that. What other comic book character should steal a move? I want to see Lobo just doling out power bombs. That's what I want to see. Joe says, "Are you secretly hoping U.S. leader shows up at Cena's last match just to see Larson's reaction and for the awesome thumbnail it would make?" I don't really care if Trump shows up. I think it's a bad idea. I think for the WWE, I would personally just laugh. Cause like there's an approval poll out there that has him at 36%. And this Epstein shit is going to drive it even lower. The economy's not getting any better. It's all bad. And I hate that. I wish things were good. I wish everybody was thriving. If everybody was actually thriving under U.S. leader, I would be so happy. I'd be like, third term. Great, let's go, third term. But people are not thriving. Quite the opposite. Just to see Larson's reaction. I mean, it's like, how are you going to put, like, if not, Larson. No, I don't care about his reaction because it would be a Larson reaction. He ain't going to throw up. That's silliness. He said he would throw up. He's not going to throw up. I would laugh. I would belly laugh because, like, how are you going to put this toxic, divisive personality up on Cena's last match? Get out of here with that. Oh, man. Sorry for anybody who's triggered by my statements about U.S. leader. But Suicide LMM says, "Not a question, just hoping you and your family are doing well." We're doing well. We're doing very well. It was the 1 year anniversary yesterday of my gypsy bug. It still hurts, guys. It's still, there she is right there. Her little ash is right there. And so it brought back some memories of her last day, and it really bummed me out. But I'm okay. I'm doing good. I'm doing really well, actually. Zoe Conrana says, "If Nico Harrison was a Raw or SmackDown GM, what kind of amazing decisions would he make?" Oh, boy. He would trade Roman, Seth, and CM Punk to TNA for Kazarian, Mike Santana, and cash considerations. I don't know. Karan Live Forever says, "Who's the biggest snake in WWE history?" Basically WWE's version of Kevin Durant. I love Kevin Durant, man. I don't know what you're talking about. Probably Sid. Like Sid would go from company to company, just back and forth, back and forth. TKDB says, "Should head booker be passed around every year so each main story feels fresh?" Not a terrible idea to have 5-year contracts on showrunners, on bookers. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Papa Morris, "Who should be the next wrestler to have their own puppet?" Oh, yeah, after Harley. I'm not a fan of puppets. I don't mind them. I just don't really care for them. I don't really need them in my life. Obafemi. What if Obafemi, he came back in NXT, and what if his gimmick is now he's a ventriloquist. He's like, "I heard Harley Cameron is wildly popular at AEW. I thought I'd get into the ventriloquism. Shit, I need like a puppet if I'm going to do that. Here we go. I'm going to get into the ventriloquist industry now. I'm the ruler, and what does he call himself? I'm the ruler of the world," or whatever Obafemi calls himself. I'm the ruler. Marvell says, How did you choose the name Alabama for your kid? So True Romance is it's a movie that both me and my wife really, really love. And the main character in that is named Alabama. But then there was also a movie that we saw called she was gonna be Buster if it was a boy. And my mom hated that. She was like, "That's a dog's name," in her Paraguayan accent. And so, but it was gonna be Alabama if it was a girl because of True Romance. And then also there was a movie called The Broken Circle Breakdown. I want to say, shit, I got that name wrong. I don't know what it's called. In any event, it's a really good movie, even though I forget the name of it. And the name Alabama was prominently featured in that. And we were like, oh, that sort of solidifies. We were both like bawling through the movie because it's like got a cancer kid in it. Andrew says, what's your favorite snack to get at a wrestling sporting event? My pick would either be popcorn or a glizzy. Yeah, I'm gonna throw nachos into that as well. It depends more on the venue, doesn't it? Like, you show up, okay, let me assess the situation. What do you got? Mini pizzas? $14? Sure, why not? Paul Evans, what would it take for you to turn heel on Larson? What makes you think I haven't already? And haven't gone heel on him like for the past decade? Sal says, if you could manage somebody in WWE or AEW, who would it be? Harley. Because she's so funny. She is so hilarious. Callum says, which pure work rate wrestler from any era would you have liked to see in NXT during the peak black and gold era? What? Oh man, peak black and gold. How about Danielson from like 2004 or something like that? Real as Real says, what does WrestleJuice taste like? I get that question a lot. I still don't know. Fernando says, blind rank AAA Luchadors round 2. Well, I can't blind rank. It's not blind ranking if I see the Luchadors in front of me. You gotta give that one to Larson and I over at the Going in Raw stuff. Yo Science Bitch says, I still say Bush are a grunge band, but what are your favorite grunge groups / albums? All right. So none of this is going to be terribly surprising. But I would say, I mean, my favorite band, I think, of all time, it sort of boils down to 3 bands for me. It's Soundgarden, Radiohead, and the Beatles, sort of rotating order. Radiohead's probably my favorite band of all time, but Soundgarden's really high up there as well. So, Super Unknown is probably my favorite grunge album, but then 10 is really high up there as well. It's just I've heard 10 so many times. And then Nirvana's In Utero as well. And then Alice in Chains' Dirt. Those are I think my favorite grunge albums. The Wads, no shade to Bush, by the way. I know I gave you some shit about Bush. I'm fine with Bush. Bush is okay. No hate towards Bush. Sometimes you need Bush. Wadson says, if you were a wrestler, what chant would you try to get over? What chant would I try to get over? Oh, man, I don't know. Probably Sell the Kings. As long as they stayed in Sacramento, it would be Sell the Kings. Because I hate our owner. He's trash. McEconomics. I mean, we're the fucking joke of the league right now. It breaks my heart. Says, help. WWE needs a new catchphrase to sell merch. 4 letters, 1 word. It'd be FAC. F-A-C-K. Because they'd be like, what'd you say? It'd be FAC. Garfield fan. What's it going to take to get Def Rebel sent to the Shadow Realm? Probably somebody coming in to do the same thing cheaper because TK are cheap bastards. Kenny says we're about a year into WWE having women's mid-card titles. Well, who do you think could have been a good women's Intercontinental U.S. champion if they were around back in the day? What was her name? Fuck. Who could have been a good Intercontinental? I don't know. Like I was, boy, they really just did a disservice to the women's division in total, didn't they? Like you think back, I got to choose from the divas. Natalia, that's who. But like, boy, like for decades, they just did jack all with their women's division of substance to like 2014. McAd says, what are the odds Cena shows up to wrestle at a Saudi Mania? I would put them very low. I think when he says he's done, he's done. And I think to him, the integrity aspect means so much more than the money thing. I think there's a good chance he shows up. I don't think it's going to be to wrestle. The anime fan says, because then you get your cake and eat it too. Given what Joe Tessitore said on Raw, should the TD Garden put Cena's name up there with the other Boston greats? No. Because, like, come on. He's had a very impressive career in what is a fictional performance. And that's not to be taken away from him at all. Hollywood Walk of Fame? Yeah, do that. Is there some sort of like, I don't know, but not sports. Sports is, man, come on. Those accomplishments are so legit. Hit Monkey, what is best in life? Lamentation of you women, or whatever Arnold says. Schwaggy says, you plan to bring the kiddos to see Zootopia 2 now that Roman and Punk are voicing. My kid is like, she's 10, almost 11, and she's very like teenage coded in terms of her tastes. We just finished up Lost. We're watching Fringe now. She does not watch cartoons. She watches some anime. And we enjoyed the first Zootopia. If she wants to, I'll offer it up to her. But I'm not gonna go like on my own. That'd be fucking weird. Just to listen to their voices. But yeah, I got one kid. She's 10. Well, I have one young kid, and she's 10. I got 3 fucking adults. 4, kind of. Anyways, the Log Cabin says, "What's your opinion on Damian Priest right now? Boy, oh boy, that guy is lost as a character. He's just floating out there in the vacuum. I think he's a perfect example of the fact that WWE, they need to put people in interesting positions to succeed. You saw how he was in Judgment Day because he knew the chemistry between the faction was so good, and they were able to capitalize that off of that with him. But you put anybody in a vacuum like that, and they're gonna have a big fall off. He has had a worse fall off than Drew, absolutely." Spike says, "It's been asked before, but I can't find the video. I need 3 to 5 essential grunge albums for a new grunge enjoyer." Okay. I would say Pearl Jam's 10, obviously. Soundgarden, Super Unknown. Alice in Chains, Dirt. Those are definitely essential. And then, I would say spells like Nirvana's Nevermind. But, like, that's so overplayed. You've probably heard all that stuff so many times. So I would go the one before that, which is, I think, what is it? Isn't it In Bloom? That's also a Radiohead song, so I'm getting mixed up right now on my albums. Let's see here. Albums. Bleach. Why did I say In Bloom? That's weird. Bleach. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Dude, I'm tripping right now. Hold on a second. I got to double check something. In Bloom is a song of theirs on Nevermind. Okay, that's why. So yeah, there you go. And then like some Mudhoney. What have I been listening to lately? Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge or something like that. That's got some really good songs on it. I don't like all their stuff, but that's a good song. Or that's a good album. Where is it? Albums. Yeah, I'm taking my time. I don't care. Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge from Mudhoney. Check out that one. Missed this one. Diehard Homer says, if Oba Femi faced Gunther, should Oba demolish him? Like in the tournament thing? I mean, yeah, dude, you want to make some stars. You don't need to be using Cena to get Gunther over. You need to be using Gunther to get Oba over. I agree with that. Sammy says, will comic book movies ever be as big again as they were 10 to 15 years ago? How long ago did Infinity War and Endgame come out? I think the DC stuff has a good chance at being... I'm not going to say they're not going to... I don't think they're going to be as big as Infinity War and Endgame. But I think they have the chance to be pretty big. But no, I think they should have shut it all down after Infinity War and Endgame. Tilo Brown, lasagna or pizza? Pizza. The World According to Jake. If Gunther defeats Cena for the Intercontinental Championship, what could they do to make it different from his original reign? Make it like a 1B. Have it main event pay-per-views. Chester Lerman, if you were to pick a handful of wrestlers to make designs for merch and stuff for them, who would you pick? A reformed NWO Wolfpack. Like a new Wolfpack. With Javon Evans, Leon Slater, Saquon Sugars. Maybe. Maybe led by a Dominic Mysterio. Oh, that could be cool. Invader Zim says it's time for the International Intergender Tag Team Tournament. Which wrestlers from each division would you pick to represent a country of your choice? For example, Gunther and Tekla for Team Austria. Oh boy, that's a lot. All right. I don't know. From America, from Ireland, what? Sheamus and Becky. From Scotland, Drew and I don't think Piper Niven can wrestle these days. So who else is from Scotland? Is Alba Fire from Scotland? Alba Fire. Atticus. You're testing my brain. That's not a good thing to do. Atticus says, do you have any bizarre fears? I used to be freaked out by overflowing toilets. Wow. I wonder where that comes from. Interesting. Any bizarre fears? I don't want to fly right now because it's a mess right now. I'm terrified for anybody who has to fly. But I also, even when things are working perfectly normal, I don't want to fly. I used to be fine with flying. Used to be fine. I used to fly all the time. Nowadays, I don't want to do it anymore. Capetta says, have you ever played Dispatch? No. Isaac says, shower foods. What can you eat in the shower without destroying context or flavor? I've never given that any thought. I have no idea. Matt Otterpop says, if LA Knight's being punished and does indeed leave WWE, he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. I don't think he's being punished to the extent that he's going to leave the company. What is the ceiling elsewhere? He's a very WWE wrestler. He's a very WWE wrestler. But I hope that Tony Khan would give him a chance. But I don't know. He's not really wrestle guy, is he? Olivia says favorite male and female wrestlers based only off aesthetic. Examples: Cody's American, Rhea's Alternative. Based off only aesthetic. I don't know what that means necessarily. Even your examples are confusing to me. Olivia, okay. Okay, Stephanie is like Stephanie probably. Based on, look, I'm so thrown for a loop on this question. Cody's American. I'm so sorry. I don't know what this means. The Ben Wardy says, hello, new fan here. Hello. I'm asking as a fellow camera technician, what gear do you use to record these videos? Okay. I am using a Blackmagic 4K pocket cinema camera with a zoom lens from Lumix, I want to say. Is it a Lumix camera? But it also has, it's a Lumix, probably 1835. And then I've got like a wide angle adapter on it, which was only like $35. So that's what I've got going on here. And then I got two like studio light setups. It's about 3700, the color timing. Got another light up here. I don't know what the color time is on that, but it looks kind of the same. It's the same. Got another light over there shining over on the couch. So there you go. The Chop Sports and Gaming says, how would you book Cena's last 3 dates? I'd prefer 3 singles matches with 2 successful defenses before the final match. Cena, okay, you're just telling me your fantasy book. How would I book his last 3 dates? So I would not put him in Survivor Series. At Survivors, because we got Madison Square Garden first, I think. Isn't that next? Isn't that like this week or something like that? So I'd have him lose the IC title back to Dom in like a screw fashion. And then at Survivor Series, I would have him, his final match would be against Obafemi. No, you know what? He would not lose to Dom. He would fight, I don't know. How about Gunther at Survivor Series? But Cena beats him. And then at the thing, Obafemi, that's all bad. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. He's probably, at Survivor Series, he's probably going to be in the War Games match. Fuck it. Just whatever they're going to do. War Games is fine. You know what? No, screw this. I would do this. Madison Square Garden. He's in New York. Who else is from New York? I know there's somebody recently we talked about this from New York. New York. Mike Santana. Mike Santana versus Cena in New York. Or I guess maybe Matt Cardona. Maybe him. I would go with Santana. Cena wins. And then you go to War Games in San Diego. Put him in War Games, but as Peacemaker. And then his last match, have him fight Stephen Miller. And like, he really hurts him. Calicott says, can we ever do edible sometime, Steve? No! The King's Catalog says, what food? Last time I did that, oh, it was bad news. What food combo do you like? The King's Catalog that people think is weird. Nothing. I don't like weird food combos. I like normal food combos. Alter says, if when TNA lands that new TV deal, are you considering watching their debut episode on said channel? If they keep up the bullshit that they did last night. They had Kazarian beat Santana already? Are you kidding me? Santana chased it for how long? Second largest company, my ass. Nicholas Grosskirth. Any plans to make episode of 6 if I was wrong? Yes. Yeah, I just don't like to overload those things. Scum says, who's your favorite British wrestler? Zack Sabre Jr. Tia Kater. Would you do more comic stuff? I'm a big fan of DC and loved your Warrior comic review. Would love your take on Absolute Batman. Yes. I am going to do that over at the other channel. What is it called? Steve here 916, I think. I couldn't come up with a better name. That's just, I was like, my name, but that's already been taken. So it's like I had to put something on it. So I put my area code. Steve here 916. I am planning on shooting stuff this weekend for that channel. I have a couple ideas. I have one thing there now. I need to put more stuff up. Jacob says, if there's a tag team gimmick made up of one face wrestler and one heel wrestler that was super over with the crowd, the story coming in class doubles and eventually, what did you want to say? Take those roles. Jesus Christ. I don't know. If there's a tag team gimmick, one face wrestler, one heel wrestler. They were over with the crowd. LA Knight. And I need a bad guy now? LA Knight and Drew McIntyre? That's a good guy and a bad guy. How about that? Five Olding says, who's your wrestling trivia phone a friend lifeline? Sean Ross Sapp, Meltzer, or Tempest? I think, Meltzer. Boy, Tempest knows a lot. It'd be either Tempest or Meltzer. Just because they're like encyclopedic. And I don't think Sean is encyclopedic. I think he knows a lot. I think he knows more than me. But I don't think he's encyclopedic. The other two are. DFX Tib says, what would be 3 underrated / low mid-card stables that you'd like to see make it to the Hall of Fame? 3? Why are we doing 3? Doing 1. Is this what you mean by when you're like, oh, this is like a chore for Steve? It's not a chore, but sometimes people load up the weirdest questions. I like doing all the questions, but every once in a while there's one like, what's 3? 3? Give me 1. How about 1? Why do I have to come up with 3? I don't care about the... I'm not getting grumpy, I promise. I'm trying to be honest with you guys. I don't care about the Hall of Fame. I do not care. Lower mid-card stables. Is Harlem Heat? Are they in? They should be. I think they're in already. The Brood, the Nation, and the Filthy Animals. The Filthy Animals need to be in the Hall of Fame, buddy. Who is this? DFX Tiv Entertainment. I don't think the Filthy Animals need to be in there, man. The Nation's not in? That's wild. I'm going to piggyback off yours then. Put the Nation in. El Juggalo. Would you ever consider getting down with the clown? I've seen a lot of pictures coming out of that. What do they call it? The Gathering of the Juggalos? I'd go to that. Cuban Bear. Not a question, but you'll appreciate the post-steak nuggets from Arby's are delicious. Buddy. I don't know, man. We were on our way to L.A. last week, and Lacey was like, oh, we already got Carl's Jr., but there's an Arby's right here. I'm like, you don't want road Arby's. You don't want an I-5 road Arby's. Jason says, which movie do you prefer, Spaceballs or Police Academy? Probably Police Academy. That dude who did the voices was hilarious. Money. What's Kevin Knight's ceiling in AEW? I mean, the top, if they write him well. Twisted Cookie says, which women's feud from the past outside of WWE needs more recognition? I don't have an answer for that. I feel like if it needs more recognition, then I probably don't know about it. And I don't know, like, I'm not the obscure shit. I probably am not the person to talk to about. Rasa says, why was Sunday Night Heat so much better than any other undercard show? Because they did shit. It's simple. They did shit. It was like, oh man, it really sold you on the pay-per-views. Like, shit happened there. You watch them, oh my God. And then sometimes wild shit would happen. Like, wasn't Sunday Night Heat where, like, Public Enemy got their asses whooped by the APA? Like, for realsies? Or Chronic? No, Chronic versus Kane and Undertaker wasn't there. But I think the APA one was. And Public Enemy. Joseph Hudson says, who will be the last 4 men in the men's War Games match? I think Brock is going to dip. I don't think Brock is going to be the last 4 men in the men's War Games match? Like, who are the last 2 from each team going to come in? It's not elimination. So I don't know what that means. The last people to come in are going to be Roman and Cena and Brock and Logan. That's my guess. Or Brock and Braun. RedTube, are you a fan of Quantum Leap? Love it. Love it. If so, you should definitely do a WrestleJuice video on the wrestling episode. That's not a terrible idea. I would do, it'd get shit views, but I'd be cool doing that. Sometimes you got to do stuff that you just enjoy doing. You don't care about the views. Trophy Hunter, would you ever make a Stephen Larson comic? Wait, really? Do you not know? We have one. Where is this thing? Right now, over at patreon.com/Stephen Larson, we've got a $20 reward tier where I made a Stephen Larson comic. It's like fucking old. It's like 2018 or something like that, 2017. But yeah, it's there. It's like the $20 tier. You get other stuff. You get like an 8x10. Look, it's like an ad with it for our old merch shop right here. But it's pretty fun. Full color. It's like 32 pages, I think. Jose Ramos or Jossie Ramos. Could you power rank these next AEW World Champions? Clone, Turner Classic Movies double champ, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre double champ, Double J, Jeff Jarrett, Collision Cowboy, Darby Allin. So it's probably Darby 1, Clone 2, Jeff Jarrett 3, Collision Cowboy 4. As much as my heart says Clone 1. Adam says, in your ideal world, who wins the Rumble in January? Well, it's in Saudi Arabia. Probably Samuel Zayn. Tony says, did the steel cage door exit stipulation ruin modern cage matches or something else? See, I'm fine with the steel cage door. I just don't like people sauntering out of it. Duke of Wicked, if you can fight one of the Teen Titans for $1 million. Whoa, wait a second. What is this dollar amount? That's not $1 million. That's $100,000. Just with the wrong zeros. If you could fight one of them for $100,000, which do you pick and why? I mean, probably Robin. He's just a kid. The others have powers. Centrifuge, you give him the ability to move one wrestler to another company regardless of contract status, yada, yada. Who do you choose and where you're going? Oh, Kevin Owens AEW is a great answer, by the way. That's a good one. Sami Zayn to AEW. That's the answer. Sami Zayn to AEW. Skylar King, have you ever met Sting? If not, have you met any wrestler named Steve? Fuck, good question. Have I? Who have I met? I met The Miz. I've met Enzo and Cass. I've never met Regal. What's Regal's real name? He was Steve Regal for a while. I don't think that's his real name, though. I've never met Stone Cold. Who are the other Steves in wrestling? Isn't Brooklyn Brawler a Steve? Have I met Sting? I have not met Sting. I don't think I've met any other Steves in wrestling, unless there's been like an indie wrestler that I didn't know his name was Steve. David says, IC spinner title, yay or nay? Oh, sure. That'd be fun. I'd be down with that. Enigma Reed, what's your favorite Eddie Guerrero match? Ray at Halloween Havoc. Sergio says, if you started a one-man Beatles tribute band, would it be called Steve Here, There, and Everywhere? I feel like that's not a real question. Young Food Stamps, hot tub stream when you saucy camp. No, I'm not going to do a hot tub stream, man. You got to stop. Stop with that. Young Food Stamps. Art Guy, who would win in this 3 versus 3 Survivor Series tag match? Turkey, mac and cheese, greens versus ham, stuffing, and potato salad. Okay. See, this is a good question. This is the good kind of question that I'm looking for here. Turkey, mac and cheese, and greens versus ham, stuffing, and potato salad. Ham, stuffing, potato salad. Oh, greens. Liam DT, what's your favorite false finish in wrestling history? Oh, Triple H versus Taker at 28. Yeah, dude. That's the super kick into the pedigree. Yeah. That's mine too. Tyler Warden, if you don't throw Cody into the mix, who has the most Cena-like energy in the current landscape? Cody. Who's got the most Cena-like energy? Carmelo, when Cena was still regular, like prototype John Cena. He'll come alive one day, I promise. Preston Lauren, maybe Trick. Preston, where do you see WWE in the next 5 or 10 years? Just around, still doing their shit. Still pissing off the fan base. Probably less people watching. Mike, what recent pro wrestling moments in the past year or two do you wish you could have experienced with the Enforcer? Oh, all of them. All of them. Oh, I miss that guy. What specifically? God, dude, I don't know. I know there's been stuff recently. Fucking, Mania 40. The Mania where Travis Scott comes milling out. God, Enforcer would have me laughing so hard. Watching that guy just mosey out there. I could literally hear him talking shit about that. And I would be crying with laughter. Mac Affleck says, who will end up having the better legacy at the end of the day between Jericho and Edge? For my money, Jericho. That's sort of like, it's a great question because it's like, I don't know. But for my money, Jericho. Jericho's best work, in my opinion, is better than Edge's best work. Parsath, how many retired Hall of Famers is too many for Saudi Mania? There's no upper limit. Look, if this is going to be a disaster, let's make it a disaster. Slurpee says, hey, Steve. Hi. My 21st birthday was yesterday. I celebrated by getting crossfaded and watching Mamma Mia with my friends. My question is, which movie would be best to watch with your friends while intoxicated? Mamma Mia, Star Trek 4, The Hangover, Ricky Stenicki, or This Is the End? Probably This Is the End. I've never seen Mamma Mia. I've never even seen This Is the End. But I've seen a bunch of clips. It looks really funny. So I would say that. I've never seen Ricky Stenicki either. John says, what's your favorite Triple H match? End of an era. Never the expert. You can remove one title reign from history. Who is it and what does it change? Bret Hart's last WWF title reign. Not the U.S. title, the Survivor Series one. The Montreal Screwjob one. Because it changes everything. OJ the Black. Who would be a worse pro wrestling promoter? Vladi or Nico? Man. I mean, look at the Mavs right now. They're doing fine. fine-ish. They're really not, but they're doing better than my Kings. Vladdy would be a worse pro wrestling promoter. Preston Lawrence, favorite rap diss track. Good Lord, the entirety of Dr. Dre's The Chronic was just one big diss track. It was like the best rap ever, West Coast rap album ever. And it's just one big fucking diss on Eazy-E. Old Dirty Q, what was the most shocking death you've seen in a movie or TV show? Gus Fring from Breaking Bad, probably. But there's been a lot of great... TV's been really good lately. But good Lord, Gus Fring, yeah, that was great. Enigma says, what makes a match mean something to you? The story. The story leading into it. B-Man the Champ. How high they can fly. How many super kicks? The more super kicks, the more it means to me. B-Man says, the top 5 favorite moments and or matches from Survivor Series. Top 5? We get one question. My favorite moment from Survivor Series. I'm going to give you my favorite one. 2017. When it was clear as day that Triple H was just making fun of the entire match. Alexander Ball says, I think I know the answer. Which are you picking? Nirvana's MTV Unplugged or Alice in Chains MTV Unplugged? Nirvana's was more varied. So I would go with Nirvana. Queen Mob says, since the year's almost over, who do you see as the breakout star of the year in AEW, women's and men's? Ooh, good question. Probably like Kevin Knight. Okay, me personally, Mox. Because I have thoroughly enjoyed his work over the past like 6 months or so. And especially like that blood and guts finish was hilarious. And I love Mox for doing over the top shit, tapping out to Kyle O'Reilly. For me personally, my breakout has been Mox. And I know that's a ridiculous answer, but it's probably Kevin Knight. For the women's, it's probably... I appreciate that Statlander has really come alive. But maybe like Sky Blue. But Statlander's had a hell of a year. I know it's like not typically the definition of like breakout. Breakout is usually nobody knew you and then everybody knows you. But Statlander's had a killer year. Hipster Chandler says, what's the worst argument you and Larson ever had? Worst argument we've ever had. The worst argument we've ever had. We've never had a friendship threatening argument. There were times when we first got laid off from Machinima that we had, that it was, let me put it this way, a high pressure situation when we were like uncertain what direction we wanted to go in. And I think, and we never yelled at each other or anything like that. But I think there were frustrations felt from both of us in terms of like, because like we were both uncertain with the direction that we were going to go in. And sometimes that manifested in us getting kind of testy with each other to a degree. But we've never had like a big argument. It's like any arguments we've ever had about like our business stuff. And there's been like debates, right? Discussions. But geez, yeah, we've never had an argument. Like anybody, we've been like frustrated with each other, but that very quickly gets resolved because neither of us likes to be frustrated with the other. And that has not happened probably we used to get testy with each other at the office because we had this thing where, and I think it was on me, to be honest with you, it would be like, hey, we got this office. Let's get to work at 9:00. Fuck, nobody wants to do that. Like, that's not a good recipe for being creative. I stay up late and work. Like, when you get to choose your hours, you should be choosing the hours that you work best in. And having the office, I was like, hey, let's get there at 9. Let's be productive. Well, not everybody is fit to work at 9 in the morning, myself included, and I think Larson included. So we used to get like, I don't know, we used to be kind of grumpy-ish with each other. That's why I don't miss the office. Like, we're so much chiller now with each other. But we've never been in an argument, like an argument. Terramorphosis says, now with the IC title on Cena and him being in the War Games match, is this run necessary as IC champion? It's going to be short-lived, obviously. If it makes somebody like an Obafemi at the last match, cool. If Gunther gets it back, do we need that? I think it's a valid question. It is the kind of thing where I think we got to let it play out, though. So I don't have a definitive answer right now. Kyle Canyon, who better? How do you feel about Eddie Kingston's faction adding Big Bill and Ortiz and being called the Four Boroughs? Is this a collision thing? Did this really happen? Or are you just saying that this is a thing? Are you fantasy booking it? Because it's not a bad fantasy book. I kind of like it. They're all sitting around talking in their New York accents. The Interloper. That's a cool idea, dude. Interloper says, will Gunther get the proper main event treatment if he retires Cena? The proper main event, is he going to main event Mania 2, Night 2? Nope. Ringtail, which failed WWE superstar do you wish worked out? Nathan Jones. I wish Lars Sullivan. Hey, that's a good one. I wish Velveteen Dream worked out. I really wish he did. Nobody says, what do you think of the West Side Gun situation? I actually talked about this on the podcast yesterday. I've never seen his promotion, but I will now. I'm going to check it out. I think it's a bummer. I'm kind of curious, like, what the deeper story is. Why was he removed from Raw? Like, why? What was the situation there? He wrote like a really big post on Twitter, and I'm kind of want to know like what the details are there before I make a real judgment. But yeah, I don't know. It just sounds like TKO's being shitty. NYC, how come Triple H got lazy as head of creative this year? He's too busy doing other stuff. The Champ says, what do you hope the person faces John Cena's last match gets coming out of it? I hope it's Obafemi. I hope he gets made into a star, and I hope he gets the Intercontinental Championship. Shile says, do you see Braun Breaker main eventing night 1 of WrestleMania? Not yet. You can't go from henchman to Logan Paul to WrestleMania main eventer in 4 months. Honked Off John, thoughts on Gen X's distaste for the 6'7" meme. Are they right or are they boomer? I'm Gen X. I don't care about it. I think it's funny. When we're watching Fringe and Bam was like, hey, put the volume to 6, because, the volume has to be kind of high on the TV. And she says, put it on 6'7". I'll make a gag. I'll go to 6'6". I'll go to 6'8". And I'll go down to 6'7", and she'll pop for it. I don't think it's Gen X. I think just people who don't like to have fun get mad at shit that other people have fun with. It's a completely harmless thing. It's rooted in something completely absurd and nonsensical. And anybody who has a problem with it, why? You don't have to indulge in it. TBP. I think when I previously asked this question, it came in too late. You finally saw the new Superman movie. What did you think of the scene where Clark talks to Pa Kent outside the farmhouse? Is there something specific about it? I loved it. That was some of my favorite stuff. That kind of stuff. Follow-up question. Are you a punk rocker? For Superman's definition, yes. I think that Superman's definition of a punk rocker, he's like, maybe that's the real punk rocker, somebody who loves stuff or has compassion, which is, to me, is cheesy. That's not what punk rock is. But yeah, I liked all the Pa Kent stuff. I like that stuff. I like that actor who plays Pa Kent. Asian Sign Guy says, what's your opinion of the women's blood and guts match on Dynamite? I loved it. I love it. Thought it was awesome. Amy Strauss says, if you're not going to cover NXT anymore, can at least get a Braun Eat Stuff recap mixed in with the Collision Cowboys? Maybe? That shit makes me, boy, I'm going to eat everything on the menu. Gonna have a heart attack on camera. Rebecca says, how do you feel about the murder of Bob Crane? I am aware of who Bob Crane is. I know who that is. He was the sex tape guy. He was like the OG sex tape guy. Yeah, controversial stuff. But like, how do I feel about it? I don't know. Did I ever see that movie? I don't think I saw that movie. But I mean, crazy that the guys just like to, have sex on camera. So Static, and they got murdered because of it, I guess. Static G Medina says, I bought an Obafemi shirt at NXT Philly and I can't find it. Have you seen it? I feel like this is not a real question because I do not know where your shirt is. Nathan says, AJ Lee joins force with Dragon Lee and AJ Styles. What's the faction's name? I mean, there's a redundancy there, obviously. Oh, God. I don't know. Nothing I can come up with is clever enough. So I'm going to push. Obsidian, aside from Luka to the Lakers, what do you think the worst trade in NBA history is? Oh, boy. That one is like by a country mile. Fucking, I don't know. Halliburton for Domas. How about that one? How about that? In my history, that's the worst. Billy talks about 908. Says, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland. Oh, it's Tom Holland. They did so good with him. True World Order says, do you find it difficult to enjoy movies with individuals who are problematic like Roman Polanski or Kevin Spacey? I find it less difficult to enjoy movies from directors who are problematic because I don't have to see them. Yeah, it's sort of, I don't have like a cut and dry rule about that. If I see a Kevin Spacey movie these days, like I honestly think I could still watch, probably not like House of Cards, the show on Netflix, because like he was still doing that character when he was talking about how much of a scumbag he is. But like, what is it? Usual Suspects. I could still watch that movie and be fine. American Beauty, I don't think has aged very well, but I could watch The Usual Suspects. DBC says, do you think War Games would benefit from, I'm trying to think of other ones. Like when I watch Star Trek, the motion picture, and I see Decker, like, yeah, I do sort of think, oh, that guy's kind of a creep. But it doesn't really take me too much out of stuff. DBC says, do you think War Games would benefit from all participants starting instead of intervals? No, I like the intervals. I'm fine with it. I like the War Games match. I'm pretty fine. I'm fine with. Says, is there a time in your life someone really unexpected talked to you about wrestling? I've been watching wrestling for almost 15 years. I was always shamed for it at school. Now I'm 24, and even my corporate boss is a fan. Corporate boss is a fan? Really? That's cool. Really unexpected talking about wrestling. You kind of, when Nerd Cubed and us did our very first collaboration and he started ranting about wrestling, that was surprising. And then it turned into my whole career. So that was very unexpected. That was very unexpected. Stu's Views. Who's the first inductee into the AEW Hall of Fame? Well, it's not going to be Jericho because he's running them down now. AEW Hall of Fame. Sting. Yeah, it's Sting. Ace Entertainment. Who's one male and female superstar from WWE you think is overrated or overhyped? Is Logan Paul an answer? Logan Paul. A female? I don't know if I have one. Jay Curtis. If Javon beats Gunther and the surprise opponent for LA Knight is Trick Williams, what do you think the bracket looks like? I don't even know what the bracket looks like now. They haven't released a bracket. I don't know what it looks like. Javon beats Gunther. LA Knight, Trick Williams. If Javon beats Gunther, I don't think that's going to happen. Fatal Destiny. Have you picked up any of the DC Compact comics? And if not, have you picked up the actual manga? Any recommendations? No, I haven't. I still need to pick up Absolute Batman. I only got a couple issues of that. I really like it, but like everybody's raving about it now. So I've been sort of debating Fatal Destiny. Should I get the Infinite Universe app Ultra? Or should I go and pick up like some of the physical comics? They're so expensive. But like as a value proposition, the Infinite app is really, really good. So I might just do that. I don't know. Christian says, what's your opinion on Blood and Guts War Games matches? I'm a fan of them. I like them. Carson Gillis, if The Rock actually runs for president, where should I move to? Because I'll not be staying in the USA. Go to Canada, dude. Go to Canada. Of Mice and Gello. Just got home from Blood and Guts. How do you feel about AEW kayfabing the every few minutes rule? It was very noticeable live. I don't pay attention to it. I really don't. I don't care. Do whatever works best for the flow of the match. You don't have to stick to reality when nothing else does. J.O., how do you think a potential Paramount or Comcast acquisition of WB would affect AEW? No idea. No clue. I don't know. They have a contract. So, I guess I am merely a person. It feels like AEW's TV deal and like NXT's TV deal, it feels like they should probably both be a little bit further in here. Like, I think AEW is worth more than NXT, but I don't know if AEW is worth as much more than NXT's getting paid. So somebody either has a really good deal or somebody is getting overpaid. And I feel like it's a little bit of both. So I think that AEW's next TV deal might be a little bit less than they're getting now. And when I say a little, I think it's possible it might be a lot less. But I'm just a dude. I don't know. I'm not in the business. Rad Shorty, 8 says, with Chris Jericho praising TNA as looking like the second biggest wrestling company in the world compared to AEW, should Chris Jericho sign with TNA? Yep. Have him beat Kazarian for the title. Jimbo Slice, when AEW eventually opens their own Hall of Fame, who do you think would be the first inductee? When AEW eventually opens their own Hall of Fame. Oh, I just said Sting. Leon says, hey, Steve, hi. Do you think Alex Hammerstone is LA Knight's mystery opponent? No, because I think people would be like, who? Disturbed in Ohio says, right or wrong, do you believe every wrestling promotion would take the big Saudi paycheck? Oh, so would AEW take the big paycheck? Bro, I don't know. You would think he would, because it's a lot of money. It's a ton of money. But I don't think he's going to have to make that decision. My name is Earl. Why don't WWE and AEW do fights in real life locations? Stone Cold versus Booker T in the supermarket. I don't know. I think it's because they have a system in place, and it would be like resources to take it other places. I think they should, because I think that shit's cool. They should mix up their presentation quite a bit. But I think that's the reason why, because it's just they have a system, and why bother changing that? Sarcastic Fanstick says, how are you doing? I'm doing well. Do you think that a wrestling manager game where you manage your own wrestling company and as GM mode styles gameplay could work or be fun? Maybe. Don't they have that kind of stuff now? They have my GM mode, and they've got the other thing. What's it called? Total Wrestling something. Mikey Strange, best theme song from the most forgettable wrestler. Oh, Alex Riley's theme song. Oh, dude, it's Ridge Holland's. Ridge Holland's theme song is like a fucking banger song. John Bear Gaming, does AEW have blood and women's matches bother you or make you feel uncomfortable? No. No, not at all. At all. I think it's badass. Toasty90, I know you don't play much video games nowadays. You ever checked out the Batman Arkham games? I have. I think I did some videos here on this channel of that. Just to do a search on my channel for Arkham or Batman. The Nerdy Gamer Nerd. Would you agree with the statement that Will Ospreay is this generation's AJ Styles? Yes. Otto, are heel and face commentators outdated? No, I like that shit. Daryl Weller, do you feel rosters are imbalanced on both Raw and SmackDown in the women's division? What would you do to fix that? I don't think they're imbalanced now, because like you got Lash Legend there. No, I think they just need to do better with the creative on them. David Mitchell Baker, what matches would you like? Like, they've been wasting Julia during her entire U.S. title run. What matches would you like to see at the Saturday Night's main event roster versus NXT exhibition? Ooh, good question. Boy, oh boy. LA Knight versus Trick Williams. I think it's a good one. I don't think Trick is going to be the guy tonight. I think it's going to be Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry versus maybe Joe Hendry versus like Drew McIntyre. I don't know. They're both Scotsmen. Femtrapted, do you actually think that LA Knight is being punished? Yeah, I do. I don't think it's an angle. I think he's being punished. Validation says, how many matches will Cena come back for after he retires? None. I don't think he will. Bashmasher, do you think the last time tournament should be its own 2K mode? Oh, that's fun. Sure, why not? Grown Up Kid, you want John the Kings? Yes. Yeah, I do. Oh, I'd love that. Jaw's a fucking baller. Ragnarok, what do you think of Mike Santana losing the world title already? Man, after TNA not running any shows for a month, I didn't realize they didn't run any shows for a month. Oh my God. Yeah. Second biggest company, my ass. Planet Bumble, would you rather fight Brock Lesnar one-on-one UFC style or watch the worst movie you've ever seen once a day for the rest of your life? That. Although the Brock Lesnar match, I could just tap out hella quick. Gems, and I could bet on it and make a bunch of money. Jemson Isaac, although that wouldn't really work. I wouldn't have good odds in my favor anyways. Jemson says, is Daredevil a better version of Batman? No, Batman doesn't have superpowers. Bowlade Frail says, least favorite grunge album. Pick a Pearl Jam album after Binaural. And that's it. Matt Mormon says, who's a guy from the mid-late 2000s who's never won a world title you would have liked to have seen got a run with it? For me, it's John Morrison. Mid to late 2000s who never won a world title you would like to have seen gotten a run with it. Mid to late 2000s. Oh, this is a terrible answer. I do feel like Ryback should have gotten some run with a world title. Red Tube, since every male in America thinks about Rome every day, who's your favorite Roman and why is it Solo the Lucky? Brother. I do not know what any of that means, but I think your name is hilarious and I'm glad that you're still around. Victimizer says, would I be able to commission you to do a sketch cover for me? I have an Absolute Batman 1 sketch cover variant that I would like to have an MF Steve original. Can you reach out to me at the Instagram that I got? Steve here 916. I'd be down. Sure. Stinky Bojangles, favorite John Carpenter movie. They Live. Fordage says, should Aleister Black reform House of Black in WWE with Damian Priest as a member? No. But Larson had a really good pitch for them to be in a buddy comedy together. Where do we do that? Yesterday's show? I think it was yesterday's show. Joe2K20 says, I'm curious how long it took you to make a living off YouTube to the point of paying your mortgages and shit. Okay. So I had that. My first Machinima started paying me. I'm trying to think what my first actual deal with them was. It was like eventual. So like, I think my first actual deal with Machinima was for around. One of my first deals with them was for like $1,000 a week. I think it's when they brought me on to do 10 for the Win with Larson on a regular basis. And at that point, you know, my mortgage back then was only, when I moved here, yeah, I mean, I was only paying like, I think our first house, we got that thing for like $170,000, which is fucking crazy. It was at the bottom of the market. And I think our mortgage was like $960 a month, which is fucking crazy. And so I think at that point, yeah, I was able like when I first started making a living off YouTube, it was probably 2010. But my bills were really cheap. Like I did not have many bills. And I was supplementing that with my income doing editing work for the Kings. And in 2012, I was able to jettison the Kings work and solely focus on 10 for the win, on machinima stuff. And I think in 2012 was when they brought me on and was like, hey, we're going to actually pay you like a weekly salary of $1,000 a week. And so I would say 2012. I would say it was I started doing that stuff in 2000 and like summer of 2009. But I was between, in 2009 and 2010, 2009, I think it was between machinima and doing editing work for the Kings, I was making a living of probably $48,000 a year, I think. So yeah, I was able to pay my mortgages and shit, supplementing it with like probably a couple $100 a month from the Kings. And then in 2012, so about 3 years later, things were going so good with machinima that they just were like, hey, we're going to give you $52,000 a year. Awesome. Very cool. Steven Scoop says, do you believe they rushed the Nikki Bella heel turn? No. Also, I've become so much worse about answering DMs since Quantum Leap ended. DMs where? Where was our DMs? Was it on Bluesky? Where was that? Did we have actual like text DMs? No, those are text messages. Dude, where are you? Can you just email me or something? WrestleCram, is AEW going too far with their blood and guts matches? No, I love them. It's called Blood and Guts. Sleem says, who would best benefit from a kayfabe alcohol addiction storyline? I don't like those. I'm not a fan of those ones. Anyways, that's it. That's going to do it for this edition of I Answered Everything. Here's the deal with this. You don't have to watch this one. If you're curious, if you just want to put this on in the background while you're cleaning up, then I'm around. I'm here. It's been an hour and 7 minutes. If you want to skip this one and watch me play Wrestling Jeopardy, I got plenty of those. Going to do another one of those tomorrow, I think. Hot takes, only 15 minutes. Other stuff, real quick. This one is just me sitting here, rambling away, and I'm going to take my time with it from now on. All right, that's going to do it. We'll see you guys around.